So my ex wanted me to allow her and her kids to come to my house because, I guess it caught fire and they needed somewhere to go. Now, a little backstory, when we broke up, I had nowhere to go and she put me out in the street, right? It's cool. As a grown man, you should always have your own place, right? Lesson learned. But now that I have my own establishment and now that she's out on hard times, she thinks that she's held the same position she once did when we was dating. I have no obligation to you or your children, no different than you did to me and mine when you put me out in the street at 12 o'clock at night on a Thursday and I had to be to work at 4 a.m. in the morning. I didn't cause no scene. I didn't break no things. I didn't wake up the kids with yelling and screaming. I happily and gradually walked my black self out, stepped in my car at my job, and got to it. So I say that to say this. I told her the same thing. Hit up one of those guys you was messing with, a family member, a church, a shelter, but you can't come here. You don't hold that starting five position no more, sweetie. It's been fulfilled. You're not even a sub. You're not even on a practice squad. You're not. Just letting you know what it is. And it's not me being mean. It's me letting you know that when we broke up, we broke up. I don't hold you to no obligations towards me. And you can't hold no obligations towards you.
Sometimes I just be looking at men out in the world and I be like, damn, like, it's so crazy to me how they work so hard and like they have families and the weight of the world is like just on them outside of their home and inside of their home. If something goes wrong, everybody's calling dad, everybody's calling husband, everybody calling boyfriend. You know what I mean? If something happens, that everybody calling their son. You know what I mean? If something happens on any given day, that man has 3 to 5 women calling him for a problem. If the world was to shut down right now, everybody is calling that man for help. Everybody. I don't care how strong of an independent woman you are. I don't care. That mama calling her son for help. That wife calling her husband. Them girls is calling their daddy. That son is calling his daddy. Everybody is calling that man for help. And I just be looking at them like they really, men have just so, they gotta work. You know what I mean? They work hard. When men get to work, they outside in the sun, they crunching numbers at the bank. Men are working. You don't really see men frolicking too much at work. I mean, they joke around here and there, but women, when we get to work, we be shooting the shit all day, having a good time, just gossiping and talking. Men are going to work. You know what I mean? But like I was saying, like, I just feel like that man got the weight of the world on his shoulders just 24/7. And so sometimes when I'm out in the world, not saying like, oh, my husband, but I'm just saying, like, I just look at them and I'm just like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? It's just the amount of stress. And then they have a woman calling their phone asking for $500 and they don't give it to her and he broke. It's like, bitch. After, no matter how many times he probably didn't help that woman in the past, that one time he says no, she instantly hates him. She blocks him. She come online and talk bad about him. And I just be thinking that, like, it's just such a weird place right now.
Shalom, back again with another lesson. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to first begin by giving all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, where I've learned this truth from. I want to say peace and salutations to you, Akim, you brothers out there laboring, pushing this word out in all truth and in sincerity, presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice. I want to say shalom also to you Israelite sisters, you Akwaf that may be listening. Also to you Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. You may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the chosen seed line. Shalom. So to start this lesson off, the opening videos that I played was a so-called black man explaining how he had an argument with his woman, which eventually ended in them splitting up. And she basically kicked him out of her house. This is why we say to you men, it's important that you have your own, right? If you want to deal with a woman, it's better that she move in with you than you move in with her, right? And the reason being is because women can get emotional and they don't really care about your situation. If, they get angry with you and they want you out of the house or you're cramping their style, they don't care about what living situations or arrangements you have. They just want you out, right? And they'll throw all your stuff out and they won't care because the emotions, women are a slave to their emotions, right? So anyway, the guy in the first clip, he ended up landing on his feet. You know, he went through his trials or whatever the case may have been, and he ended up getting his stuff together, right? So because he's now situated and he's got himself established, he's moved on with his life, right? Now, the irony of the whole, situation the brother was bringing out was that later on, that same woman that he was dealing with fell on hard times. You know, her house caught on fire, or apartment, wherever it was that she was living in, it caught on fire. Now, in her mind state, right, she's thinking, I guess in her mind, she's thinking, how can I weasel my way back into this relationship with this man that I kicked out, that I disrespected, She showed him nothing but disrespect by kicking him out when he had work the next morning, you know what I mean? She didn't care about his situation. But now she's in a tricky predicament, and she's looking to him to help her out in her situation, right? But the beautiful thing about it is that she quickly learned that he wasn't interested or obligated to help her in any way, right? Because they'd been split up. She broke up with, they split up and she kicked them out, right? So she found out quickly that she had been rejected, right? Which is poetic justice, right? Now, it seems a spirit going out in the earth is where, the spirit where men are starting to receive, the spirit of rejection, right? And it's a rejection for the proud and disrespectful women that have done them wrong in the past, right? So now when these women need help, the men are turning around saying, absolutely not. I've moved on with my life. You move on with yours. Good luck. You know what I mean? Even I believe the woman had children, if I'm not mistaken in saying that. The woman had children. But that spirit of, of rejection is out there. And this is what part of the lesson is today, is, the women being rejected. Now, the second clip that I played, right, in the opening, the woman was a bit more grounded, I would say. And she mentioned that she realized, or she's starting to realize, that men deal with a lot. They work hard, they fix issues, and everybody always comes to them with their problems. And I believe she mentioned also that if the world was to crash, a lot of women would be in trouble, right? Pointing out the importance of having a man. But I mean, just having any man isn't going to be the end all be all. You'd want to have a righteous man, a man that feareth the Lord, that's, keeping the commandments to the best of his ability, right? So like I mentioned, in this lesson, it's more so to point out and show how a lot of women in these troublesome times ahead are going to be rejected by righteous men due to all the rebellion and disrespect that they have shown their men, right? So that great humbling of you wicked women is coming soon to a reality near you. So anyway, to get started with this lesson, right, we're going to start in the beginning where men and women would come together, they would get married, and they would become one flesh, So we're going to start in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, and verse 23. Yeah, verse 23, right? So it says, Adam said, "This is now the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh. And she shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." Now, a lot of Christians will say, the Lord put Adam to sleep and he surgically removed his rib, and like the T-1000 or from Terminator, Eve just came into existence. That's not what that's talking about. So when it's talking about the rib, the Lord took the rib from Adam. It's talking about the woman came from the same stock as Adam. So if, let's say, for example, Adam was an African-American, Eve would be an African-American as well. They come from the same stock, right? I mean, there's more that, you can go into with the breakdown of Genesis chapter 2, but obviously this is not what we're referring to, right? So not in this lesson anyway, it's another lesson. But I'm going to continue reading, or I'm going to read Genesis 2 and 23 again, and then continue reading. It says, "And Adam said, This is now the bone of my bones, and the flesh of my flesh. And she shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh." And that's how things work back in the day. The man and the woman, they come together, they get married. The father walks his daughter down the aisle and he passes them off to her husband, which is supposed to now take care of the woman going forward, right? So I'm going to quickly jump over to the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and I'm going to start at verse 10, just to give you an idea of what a righteous woman or virtuous woman is, right? So this is Proverbs 31 and 10. It says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil." Meaning, the man's going to want to listen to his wife. He's going to want to hear her opinion so he can make the final decision. He's going to take that into consideration because he trusts in her opinions, right? Verse 12, it says, "She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life," right? So that's a virtuous woman, right? I mean, you can read Proverbs 31 on down all the way to the bottom, but just for time's sake, we're just going to read the first part because obviously, we're looking at virtuous women. Now, I'm going to jump back in the book of Proverbs to chapter 18. I'm going to read verse 22, and it reads, "Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor with Yahweh," right? Or favor of Yahweh, right? Find the favor of Yahweh. So, when you find a good wife, a righteous wife, that's, hey, the Lord's sending you a blessing there, right? So now we're going to look at where it all started to go wrong for the women, right? So we'll read in the book of Genesis, regarding Eve and the serpent in the garden, right? So we're going to jump back to the book of Genesis chapter 3. I'm going to start from the top, right? "Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?" So this is where the serpent's trying to get into Eve's ear. He's saying to Eve, hey, has the Lord not said you can have all the fruit of the field? Can you not eat of everything? And this is what Eve responded with. Verse 2 says, "And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die." Right? So Eve is explaining to the serpent, like, no, we can only eat what the Lord has told us we can eat. But all the other fruit, which, is in the midst of the garden, and the fruit that it's referring to is the man-made philosophy. So all the philosophies that are ongoing currently, so, that could be like the Baal worship and all that other stuff that was going on at that time. He's saying we can't deal with that. We can't deal with none of that stuff. We can't learn, Islam. We can't learn Buddhism. We can't learn Christianity. We can't learn any of these, these man-made doctrines. We can only stick to the truth from what the Lord has presented us with what we can learn, right? And it's like, if we disobey that, then that would cause us to be in sin and we would die, right? So the serpent then responds to Eve, right? And this is why, you have to be very careful with what you receive and what you listen to. Verse 4, it says, "And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die." So right there, he's trying to convince Eve that, just because you learn the philosophies and all these man-made doctrines, you're not going to die just by learning it. You know what I mean? It's almost like, trying to convince her that, ain't nothing bad going to happen to you. Look at me. I've been learning it and I'm still walking around, So he's trying to convince Eve, the woman, that, to depart from the ways that the Lord had set for her. In verse 5, it says, "For the Most High doth know," or for power doth know, "that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as powers, knowing good and evil." Right? So he's trying to convince her. The only reason the Lord don't want you to know these other philosophies, eat of the fruit of these other trees, is because you'll be wise. You'll be just like him, and you'll be able to do exactly what he does. And that's what he was telling Eve. Now, in the modern sense, that would be like your feminism. Feminism would be like a man-made doctrine, right? So imagine, the serpent coming up to Eve, telling Eve, like, learn feminism. Not only will you be equal to your man, you'll be above your man. You'll have it to where, you won't have to work under him anymore. You won't have to be under him. You won't have to do all these things under your man. You gonna be the man. You gonna be, the prize, right? Modern times, it's hard for a woman to, like, a woman always is always reaching up in a sense of, like, in dating and all this other stuff. They always want to go for the better option, right? So verse 6, it says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So it would make you question that point from the serpent not going directly to Adam and telling Adam this. Because obviously the serpent understood that Adam would have told him to beat it. But the woman, being convinced, obviously, like we read in the book of Proverbs, the man doth trust in her, right? And basically, she came to Adam, and the serpent, I'm not saying that the serpent knew that, but what I am saying is that it was easier to beguile Eve than it would be to beguile Adam, right? So Eve fell for it, and then Eve went back to her husband and basically convinced him that, you know, to eat of the fruit, them philosophies, right? So as we continue, right? So we understand that there's a punishment for the disobedience, right? So we go and just quickly touch on that because obviously I want to keep the lesson moving. But, you know, I'm going to read in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 12, and I'm going to read down, but the point is in verse 16. It says, and the man said, the woman who thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahweh, and the Lord Yahweh, power, said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. You know, obviously the serpent was responsible for bringing me to these philosophies. You know, that really doesn't make any difference because the Lord said that you shouldn't eat from that. And she obviously went against that. So the Lord was displeased with this, right? So it says in verse 14, and the Lord Yahweh, power, said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. Right? And verse 15, I'll continue reading. It says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and because thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Upon the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And there you have it. You know, the decree was set by the Lord that the woman was going to need to be submissive to her husband, like, and he shall rule over her, right? So as we fast forward through time, I'm going to jump down to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15, right? So this is obviously, you know, a little bit of time, you know, or history has passed, and we're in the time where the Israelites were brought out of the land of Egypt, and they were given the commandments, right? So this verse specifically here, there's a few points I want to touch in the book of Deuteronomy that sort of leads into the modern point that I wanted to bring out. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now, Israel, the Israelites, you know, have been established at this point, and the Lord has made a covenant with the Israelites, you know, and he's telling them, he's giving them the commandments and the statutes that he wants them to follow. And he's saying that if you don't listen to what I tell you, then you're going to be cursed and you're going to go through all these plagues. Now, if you read Deuteronomy 28:15 on down, you know, this lays out all the curses that the Lord would put on the Israelites for being disobedient, which we were, right? Now, one of the curses that we were put under, I'm going to start in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 54, right? And, you know, again, this affected the men, and the men, you know, have a part to play in this, right? So it isn't all about the women, but the men have their part to play in it, right? And it says this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, because obviously we were brotherly to each other at one point. We were, hey brother, how you doing? How's your family? How's everybody doing? We never wanted to see evil being brought upon our brothers, but obviously the curses hit us and we did exactly that. So I'll read again, verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Now that is a curse that fell upon the so-called black man. Well, predominantly the so-called black man, but all of the Israelites, this affected us in all these ways. That's why you have single mother households, right? We did this because this was a curse on us as men, Israelite men, right? Also, the curse jumped over to the women as well. So I'm going to jump down to verse 56. It says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. Now, as we continue, I'm going to play some clips because again, I wanted to touch on the feminist movement and how that got started and who started it, right? Because it was our enemy that did that to us, right?
And so if we live this revolution every day, as all of us are doing here today, it's just possible that historians will look back at this time and say that for the first time, the human animal stopped dividing itself up according to visible difference, according to race, or according to sex, and started to look for the real and the human potential inside. Right on.
I've seen a video of yours where you said that feminism has conditioned black women to view black men as the enemy.
It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA. Gloria Steinem, I think she was.
Right, yeah.
Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house, and into the black household to turn the black woman against the black man.
Do you know Gloria Steinem? Here, let me give you a hint. So I was reading an online article to which I came across something that I didn't know about Gloria. It talks about Gloria's new book, My Life on the Road, recounting her life, journeys, and travels, but look at the bottom paragraph. What is often missed or mischaracterized, however, is the work she did as a CIA agent. Steinem was a spook. Confused, I decided to dig a little deeper. Black feminism, the CIA, and Gloria Steinem. What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operations against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful and virulent strain of black feminism that attacks black men while partnering with the white establishment. Steinem first came across the radar of black men when she put a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman by Michelle Wallace on the cover of Miss Magazine, to which she controlled. Let's read on. The book was written by a black feminist and activist, quote-unquote, named Michelle Wallace, who came out of nowhere. She was in her early 20s, yet she was being touted as the leader of black feminism. In the book, Wallace called abolitionists like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth ugly and stupid for supporting black men. She called black revolutionaries chauvinist macho pigs and advised black women to go it alone. Go it alone? Do it alone? I don't know. But peep what Gloria said! Gloria Steinem said that Wallace's book would define the future of black relationships, and she pushed hard to make sure the book received massive publicity. Define the future of black relationships? What's the bottom line? The bottom line is the so-called black feminist movement was created and manipulated by the CIA from the very beginning. The only difference between black revolutionaries and black feminists on this issue is that black revolutionaries know they were infiltrated and manipulated, but black feminists are still unwilling to admit that they were infiltrated and manipulated, largely because they are highly invested in the hateful brand of black feminism. It is now a central part of the culture of black women, and this fact has led to the destruction of the black revolution and the complete distortion of black relationships, and the CIA had a direct hand in creating this situation. So black woman, Gloria Steinem, your American journalist, feminist, social political activist, and CIA agent, she was used to cause disunity in the black family through the use of feminism. Remember that book we read earlier, the one on the Black Myth by Michelle? She said that would be the future for black relationships. Nothing positive in that book was written about the black men. They were putting them down. So the next time you think about supporting her, ask yourself.
There we have it. The serpent came again to Eve and corrupted her mind, which gave birth to the destruction of the Israelite family, right? Now, this isn't just Eve. I'm talking of modern women that are feminists to this day. It was an agenda that was created by the enemy to destroy us, right? And the bad thing about it is that these women, you know, that are still practicing it are about to go through a time where they're going to be rejected. You know, all that feminism did was made it difficult for you to seek a man, to find a man, right? I'm going to play some more clips, and this is a product of what feminism created.
Women don't need men. Men need women. Men need women. We don't need you. You need us. And you're lucky if we choose one of you.
I'm convinced that men are only here to distract women from fulfilling their purpose and becoming the best version of themselves. Never forget, men need women. Women don't need men. If we were not the prize, if we were not valuable, men wouldn't need us.
Get a sperm donor. You don't need a man.
Women like you always try to eliminate men, and that's where the issue is. You just said you don't need a man.
I don't need no man.
Oh God, say it again.
I don't need no man.
Say it louder and like you fucking mean it, bitch. I don't need no man. That's what I thought.
In many cases, men have been reduced to a wallet.
No, a woman does not need a man if she can financially take care of herself.
Now, fortunately, things have evolved, and guess what? We don't need men.
I am self-sufficient. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. Do we need men in our society?
No. Honestly, no. No.
Why?
They suck.
Do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no.
Because men are useless. I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men because I think I would die without gay men.
Broadly speaking, I feel like men have proven largely useless.
So there you have it. I mean, some of those clips, you know, they were edited, you know, but the fact that that's a lot of the talking points for women is that they don't need men. You know, they're going to soon find out that they do need men. So we're going to jump over to the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, and chapter 3, verse 11, Slakia, right? And it says, woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him, right? And this is, you know, a scripture that I wanted to bring out based off of the video we watched with Gloria Steinem. You know, how Gloria Steinem, you know, she's considered the mother of modern feminism, or whatever she wants her title to be. And basically, she just don't want to be under a man, and she's convinced all of the women, right, not to deal with that. And it kind of reminds you of how, when you read in the book of Esther, you know, King Ahasuerus was calling for Queen Vashti, and she didn't come. And they had to punish her, because obviously it would have convinced all the women of the kingdom to be disrespectful to their husbands. If Queen Vashti could disrespect the king, then all the women of the land could disrespect their husbands too. And they wanted to basically silence that, kill that movement straight away, right? So the movement that Gloria Steinem did, obviously that was the tactic of the CIA, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, that pushed that narrative out in the world to destroy the Israelite family. Right? I'll read that again. This is Isaiah 3 and 11. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and the women rule over them. O my people, which lead thee, cause thee to err, to destroy the way of thy paths. Right? So now in this modern feminist society that we live in, a lot of women have kicked the men out, and the women are the rulers. You know, they're raising these children to be emotional monsters, basically emotional monsters, and now the women are left with these Pookie and Ray Rays that are just out here doing all kind of wickedness, right? So I'm gonna play some more clips, and obviously you'll get an idea.
My baby mama sitting right here mad at me because my wife posted our son for his B-Day.
Why would I not be mad that she's posting our child together?
That's my son too.
Okay, but why is she posting mine?
It's a happy birthday post.
Okay,
With
that's not her baby.
She's celebrating his life.
That's not her baby.
You don't want to see somebody celebrate your son's life?
I don't even post my child on the internet like that. It's how dangerous is that? Why is that okay?
But you don't say no when I post them.
No, because I've tried to, and you're his father. I can't really say anything about that, but I can
Right.
say something about somebody else.
But you're not about to come to my wife in my happy home and try to mess it up, is what I'm saying.
Your home is happy, but you over here all the time. What are you talking about?
I'm over here to see his. I'm not over here to see you.
Bitch that I get even, I don't get mad. I got too much designer, I can't kick it at no kickback. Swear you niggas act like bitches with y'all.
So let me get this straight. You'd rather deprive your child of a father because he cheated on you. What does his actions have to do with your child? You're keeping his child away from you because he cheated. Don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning cheating in any way. But I hate when women do this. If he's an unfit father, he don't care, cool. But if you see he's trying to be in the kid's life, and you're like, nah, fuck that nigga cheated on me. That's a problem. And the kid grows up, because you over here bashing your father, the kid grows up like, oh yeah, this nigga asshole too, I'm not gonna mess with him. And the whole time, the father was trying to be in your life the whole time. I don't care if that dude had a threesome with your mom, gang. There is no reason you should keep your kid away from their father. I don't care what happened. Again, unless he's unfit, cool. But nah. Then it was so many girls in the comments talking about, y'all don't know until y'all in the situation. No. Like I said, he shouldn't have cheated. But don't keep y'all kids away from their father because you bitter. It don't matter what he did.
Hey, y'all crazy.
Get my kids hurt.
Oh no. JJ either drunk some shit or what? Cause she too into the music.
Where's the joke? I love comedy. I love laughing. But I ain't find nothing funny. I ain't seen nothing funny in this ratchet video. All I saw was a ratchet single mom, most likely, a bitter baby mama, a BBM, that was twerking in front of her kids, that had her kids, her daughters, rapping out ratchet music, cussing and everything, had her daughter sticking middle finger in the air, had the other one sipping grape juice like it's gin and juice. And it had some freaking hyena in the background recording and laughing. Dogs, y'all are disgusting, man. And these are the ones the court, the judge, the system by default give them 100% custody to raise them kids. Those daughters, those little girls, those babies, man, they're done. Their future are done, most likely.
My baby sitting about this bitch crying.
I don't care. I told you stop playing with
This
me.
motherfucker cut my baby hair out of here.
So did.
Look at that
Now
shit. That shit sad. Hurt
Now
my
wait.
baby feeling.
Now wait.
Cause you don't hurt the dad, you hurt her feelings.
I do
You
my
hurt my
own
baby
girl
feelings.
hair.
My baby sat there for 2 hours.
I do my own girl hair.
My baby sat there for 2 hours.
You know, and this is what we've been saying, right? This is part of the reason why a lot of women are losing right now. And I'm not saying that all women are like this, like the women that you just see in the video, but a majority of them are like that. And the reason they're like that is because they have the backing of the government. So if the man was to step up and, you know, do something about it, then the full power of the law would be on the side of the woman, and obviously the man would lose big time, right? It just goes to show you that the men have lost trust in the women. Like, you know, when you read in Proverbs chapter 31, you know, the virtuous woman, you know, there's no virtue in these women today. You know, there's no trust there. How can we trust women that treat us this way, right? Stopping you from seeing your children, or just doing all this other stuff. And I've even got some more clips that I'll play.
Friend.
Yes.
So this is what you turned Jehovah's Witness for.
Sebastian, chill out. He's just a friend.
Bro. And you got my kids on the ground.
What are you talking
Bruh. You got my kids on the ground, bro. My daughter's on the ground. Windsor, a grown ass nigga like this. I'm not even mad, bro, but she gotta go, bro. Feel me? She got DCF problems. She got all type of stuff, bro. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is really crazy.
Can you chill out?
This is crazy, bro. I don't know how you. Well, you know what? That don't even matter, bro. But dude, she got 2 kids, bro. She like, if you see my daughter's on the ground, bro.
She's not on the ground.
Like, no, seriously, she's on the ground, bro.
She's on a cushion on the ground. You know she sleeps on the ground.
Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Look at my daughter, bro. Look how my daughter is on the ground. Look how my daughter is on the ground. You got that. This is a friend.
I'm cursing at you while you here. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. He don't want to see you.
I want to see my son.
He don't want to see you. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer.
It's been a whole year. Let me see my son.
That's your problem.
Let me see my son.
We've been here all year. You ain't been here.
I'm done arguing with you. I'm tired of this.
Why you come here? You ain't want to argue. You already know what's going to happen when you get. Why is she recording me? Why are you recording me?
Keep recording. Because I want the world. Please get all this. Please get all this.
Okay, since you getting all this, you take care of me when? Holidays.
I make him clothes, birthdays, school supplies, everything he needs. Let me see my son.
No. I asked you for $1,000. Stop coming to no door. He know not to come to no door. He don't want to see your sorry self.
Go get my son right now.
I bet I don't. Call him. How you gonna call him on the house? I pay for
it. Because I'll give you the money to pay for it.
Oh, whatever.
You don't do
whatever.
For a living. I'll give y'all your money for
Okay, I take care of your child. Bye.
Hey, good morning, y'all. Well, Memphis police just made that arrest yesterday. Early info from an affidavit says Justice Knowles stabbed her child's father in the midst of an argument. Court documents state Knowles and her child's father got into an argument during a child exchange this month, and it became physical. According to that report, Knowles had a knife when she walked to his porch when a second altercation took place, and she allegedly cut Walker on the hand and neck. Well, investigators say the man suffered minor cuts to his hand and neck area and had to be taken to Regional 1 for treatment. He later identified Knowles as the person responsible for assaulting him. Well, Knowles was taken into custody and her bond was set at $15,000. She has since posted that bond and is due back in court this week.
Just smacking the shit out of me, just beating my ass. I don't give a fuck. Like, yes, we was fighting. And we constantly fought. But now that I told you I'm not gonna hit you no more, we're not gonna fight no more, I wanna be able to talk to you and communicate with you and be able to do shit for my kids and just co-parent. We're not together. You broke up with me. You said it was done. Okay.
What about this screams funny to y'all? What about this screams funny to you guys? This is not a laughing matter. And the amount of people, women, that are sharing his photos and they're laughing, I mean, the double standard is real. I think some of you women really feel like men don't go through abuse, even if it's clear. Y'all really feel like you women are the only ones that can go through abuse. But behind closed doors, a lot of men get abused as well. 90% of the men that I have dated, I had to play therapist, and those men have been abused by some woman in their lifetime. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, they've been through it, but they don't talk about it. You know why? Because we don't give them a space and an outlet to talk about it. The fact that you guys are sharing this man's photos, even though he is the one posting it, whatever. But the fact that you guys are sharing this and you guys are laughing because it's a man and it's a woman behind this is absolutely ridiculous.
So there you have it. You know, the whole world has witnessed how the Israelite woman has treated their men, right? Now, these are clips that you can find on TikTok, on social media. You can see these you know, were made a spectacle unto the world, right? Because we have no control over our women. Our women don't respect us. They don't like us. A lot of them want to see us, you know, deceased, whatever the case may be, right? But the Lord has always, you know, come in clutch, right? So we're going to read in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 11. And it reads, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." So you understand that the Lord, hey, if the Lord says something, it's going to happen exactly how the Lord sends it. You know, we saw how, you know, we were hit with them curses, you know, in Deuteronomy, where the men, you know, would have an evil eye towards their brother and they would leave the women and the children, right? And it said the women, you know, will hate her husband, despise her daughter, you know, roughly paraphrasing. The Lord's words are going to go out and they don't go out void, meaning they're going to do exactly what the Lord says. So as we continue, I'm going to jump back in the book of Isaiah, chapter 13. right? Verse 11, because this is where, you know, it'll start to make a little bit more sense to why I wanted to do this lesson today, right? So this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 11. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. It says in verse 12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, right? So the man is going to be the prize. The man is going to receive his his justice. You know, the man is going to be put back on in his rightful position on top, right? And the women, or the wicked, right? The wicked women out there, they're going to get their judgment. Their judgment is going to come at them, and it's going to be like something they've never seen before. And we're starting to see that now, right? So I'm going to go straight to the point. And this is the book of Isaiah again, chapter 32. I'm going to read verse 9. Because again, the Lord's words do not go out void, but they will accomplish that in which he sent them, roughly paraphrasing, right? This is Isaiah 32 and 9. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. It says, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Right? I'm going to just stop it right there. Now, I want to play you a clip. Right? I want to play you a clip. And I want to show you how the Lord is answering this scripture, or how I see that the Lord is answering this scripture, right? So take a look.
Feminism lied to us, and we just ate it up. They told us that rebellion was power, but all it gave us was confusion, burnout, and situationships. In the eyes of feminists, you don't need no man, right? Okay, but why are you secretly craving love, stability, and protection? So somehow obeying God became oppressive, while being overworked, over-sexualized, and overlooked became empowering.
I'm 46 years old, and while I'm getting ready for surgery and everything, it dawned on me that I'm 46 years old and I don't have a husband to take care of me. Being single and 46 sucks. It just sucks. And I make jokes about buffoons that I have been encountering in dating, but in reality, this is my reality.
I'm really not coping. I feel like this is the worst that I have felt in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And I've been down like this since Sunday. And it doesn't seem to get better as the day's going on. It just seems to be getting worse as the week is going on. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just coming here to update you guys on how I'm coping emotionally, and I'm not doing great. I'm really not doing great at all. I think it's the reality is kicking in that this is it. I hate that for me, because this is not what I wanted.
I hate to say this because I hate the way people equate simplicity to low maintenance, but I'm a very simple girl. Not because I am low maintenance, but because I don't need luxury or performance to feel valued. That doesn't make me feel safe as a woman. What makes me feel safe is your character traits, your integrity, your respect for me and everyone around you, and the fact that you've shown signs to evolve mentally to be the man you are today, or whoever you are today. This goes for any relationship, because what's going to happen is performance only lasts for so long and circumstances can change. And if all of that performance and luxury is taken away, who am I left with? I don't want to be left with a loser mentally. Thanks very much.
There's going to be nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control.
Many years from now, there is going to be a quiet crisis, loneliness in women especially. Not because women failed, not because they weren't capable or intelligent, but because they were handed a script or a blueprint that left out the consequences. Be self-sufficient, put your career first, you don't need a man. So they followed it. They pushed love down the line. They delayed the family. They treated commitment like something that could always wait until it didn't. Fast forward a few years later. You're older, no partner, no children, no legacy, just some noise to fill that silence.
I've seen some videos on my For You page, and I think that it is finally time to discuss the female loneliness epidemic. Because I know the men have had their own thing, and I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not a man, right? But I will say that the men are more built for it than us. We are not built for this shit, ladies. We don't know how to be alone. These men have been bottling up their emotions and not sharing them with anybody since they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Some of us have never done that. We've always had someone to talk to, a friend, a family member, a significant other, something. And it seems like in 2025, the girls are running out of options because the dating market is terrible. Y'all are literally making fun of girls that are in happy, healthy relationships, saying that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Miserables. And then y'all also don't have any friends because anytime somebody reposts something that you disagree with, oh, that's how you feel about immigration policy, you're not my friend anymore. Now y'all don't have any freaking friends. Like it's not gonna end well if your requirement for somebody to have a relationship with you is that they have to be on the exact same page with you 100% of the time. No one is. We are all people with our own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and ideas. And if you don't respect that in another person, then of course you're going to be by yourself. There's no one else that's going to fit that mold. Y'all have to learn healthy communication skills. You have to learn healthy relationship skills. Go to therapy if you need to, do something. But if you are sitting at home right now and you don't have 5 friends that you can call, no man, and your family members just don't get you, I promise the only common denominator in all of those scenarios is
I'm going to be turning 39 a week from tomorrow, and I am still single, and that makes me sad. Yeah, my own cats are running from me. If you had told 25-year-old Rihanna that on her 39th birthday she would still be unmarried with no children, I would have laughed in your face or been so angry in disbelief because that is not what I envisioned for my life. In my early 20s, I was never that girl that wanted to get married right away and have a young family. I wanted to be able to experience life, but probably around 25, 26 is when I was like, I do want to be married. And it has just never happened for me for whatever reason. And I have spent years wondering what is wrong with me. Is there something about me? Am I just not supposed to ever be with someone? And the reality is I don't know if I will ever find my person. And I hope that I do. And I want to have children. But at what point do you let that dream go?
Yeah, you heard me right. I am renouncing feminism. Now, before you react, hear me out. I am a 29-year-old single woman with no support system, no direction, no future really. And I'm in this position because of feminism. Like, feminism told me that I should, like, go out partying and drinking and that it, like, somehow made me, like, a whole empowered woman to spend my most fertile years hooking up with random strangers when all it did is make me an alcoholic with no romantic prospects. And feminism, it turned me against men. Like, it drove a wedge between me and the man that I love. And because it told me that I should, like, emasculate him with my, I don't know, masculine willpower and independence when I should have just trusted him to love me and take care of me, which is what men need to feel loved. And now I can't even go out and meet someone new because feminism told me that, like, all men are potential predators and threats, but the thing is, most of them aren't even like that. Feminism took away my ability to trust men. But only an insane person keeps doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I am going to change my life, and I am starting by renouncing feminism.
Right, so there you see, you know, like, you're seeing these women now, they're starting to suffer because there's, like, this thing called the female loneliness epidemic that's starting to take place. You know, I'm going to continue reading the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, and I'm going to read, actually, I'll start verse 9 again, and I'll read down. So it says, Isaiah 32 and 9 says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. You know, all that loud talking, that disrespectful talking is starting to come back to bite you in the ass. Excuse my language, but it's coming back, right? Rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, meaning listen clearly to the Lord. It says, rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, you careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Men ain't simping over you anymore. Men are not paying you attention anymore, right? Men have decided to do their own thing. They're just like, you know what? I'm done with women. I'm done with the disrespect. I'm done with, you know, trying to convince these women that I'm a capable man for them. So we're just going to play the field. We're just going to do what we need to do and then keep it moving, right? Verse 11, it says, tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Like, you women are about to be brought to a lower state, because when you realize that there's no one there to save you, there's no safety net, you know, you're gonna be in trouble, man. Right? So, you know, I don't want to make this a long lesson, because there is quite a few more scriptures that I could bring out. I'm just going to get one more specifically, right? This is the book of Micah, chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 9, because I always come to this scripture because it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward and to the point, right? So this is Micah 7 and 9. It says, I will bear the indignation of the Lord Yahweh, because I have sinned against him, until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. Now that's you know, us Israelite man, this is what we're saying. We're like, look, we understand that we went off and the Lord punished us. The Lord, just like, you know, how the Lord looks at Israel as his woman, we committed adultery, spiritual adultery, following after all these other customs. So what did the Lord do to the Israelite man? Let me show you how it feels. You know what I mean? Like, let your woman be out there doing all this extra, you know, extra stuff with other men, making women the adulterous generation, men and women the adulterous generation, right? So let's see how you like it. And we went through that, right? So it says, I will bear the indignation, the righteous anger of the Lord Yahweh, because I have sinned against him. And we did sin against him. We went against him, right? Until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. And that judgment's starting to come, right? We're starting to see the beginning signs of it, because these women are jumping on social media now, and, you know, they're taking these antidepressants. They're, you know, they're feeling lonely at this point. You know, they're starting to see that, you know, the vintage is failing, right? It says, he will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness, right? So the man is being uplifted, right? Man, remember we read the scripture, said, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even the golden wedge of Ophir, right? So the Lord is starting to lift up the men. The righteous men, the men of the Lord, are starting to be lifted up in this world, right? It says, verse 10, then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord Yahweh thy power? It says, mine eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So you women, you know, you're going to go through a really rough time, and that judgment is coming for you, because the Lord has spoken it. And again, his word doesn't go out void. Now we understand the times that we're coming into, all this chaos and destruction, and you know, you got talks of civil war, you got talks of war, you got all kinds of things going on in the world today, and you women have no protection, because you've consistently disrespected your men, right? And you've posted about it all on social media, and now the men are done with you. The men are done with dealing with you, and they're moving on, right? So I'm going to leave it there, because, you know, obviously I think the point's been made. But again, you know, you can see obviously why a lot of women in those times are going to be rejected, right? A lot of women are going to be rejected when trouble starts coming. Jacob's trouble, right? Which we're entering now. The women have no protection, right? So, you know, I pray that this lesson has been edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And with that, I'll end it there. Call hello Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Shalom, it's on to the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.
I have a very important question that we should all ask ourselves. That question is, why should a man want a woman in 2026? Why should a man that is single, that is already living his life, possibly disrupt his life by taking on a woman? The reason I ask this question is because I think that a lot of us women have a very outdated mindset. Women are not what they used to be. The image of a woman has been tainted by ourselves. We have totally destroyed our image. Anything positive that used to come to mind when you thought of a woman, we have dismantled. And we don't piece together the fact that dismantling our image comes with consequences. So again, I ask you to ask yourself, why should a man want a woman in 2026? We get on the internet and we sit up and we bash men all day long. All day long, all we do is talk crap about what a man isn't doing and what a man is doing that we don't like, how we don't want to live with a man, how men are acting like females, how men aren't doing enough, men aren't giving enough, what they do isn't good enough, how they behave isn't good enough, they don't look good enough, they don't have enough money. We are just going on and on and on, talking crap about men all day long.